Alrighty, week 3 in CIT94 Node.js. Happy Friday. I don't know when you're watching this, but for me it's Friday and I'm doing my normal Friday thing, which is recording content for my classes. And so for you all, I just reviewed again, because I had done it this morning, but I kind of also just stepped through it a minute ago, your week 2 Learn Together. And I think at least a couple of you had said that, it was a little hard for you to understand. Either you ran into technical issues or you didn't. You felt the instructions were vague. So here's my question for you. And actually, on looking at it now, I think I was also trying to see how well you could take instruction without actually giving you exactly what I wanted you to do, although you could have reviewed the code. And that's an important thing, right? So being able to ask questions for clarification, but in order to do that, you have to work ahead, because if you're working at the due date, asking me for clarification when you're starting to work on it at 10 o'clock at night is not quite possible. And I know that some of you will say, well, that's just when I work. I'm like, cool. Then understand you don't benefit from that timeline. And I get it too, right? So the thing I've been talking about this week in my attendance post is the idea of discipline equals freedom. And one of the things about a class like this that requires you to actually produce code will heavily impact you based on the experience you have with code. And this coming week, no exception. I mean, I kind of took what we did last week and I kicked it up a notch, because the idea is you need to have some experience coming in. And here's the other thing, as you look at that, what I'm asking you to do is, and I say this in the video, by the way, for week 3, so I'm now talking about week 3 for a little bit, is it's not that dissimilar from what Andrew did, when he did the Note app, except that I have a different data storage requirement, right? I have more data that you need to acquire, and I added the requirement for an index, right? So I believe, I will make sure I push my code for that today. But again, try this without looking at my code. And I appreciated Kathleen actually saying, like, yeah, I took a look at the code because I just wasn't sure. And remember, the idea is that here's the process I would hope you would go through. Read my instruction, watch my video. Those go hand in hand, right? See if you can attempt it. If what you're struggling with is just understanding what I'm asking, then reach out to me either through class chat or directly set up a meeting with me so that you can understand what I'm looking for, right? And then after you've talked to me, if you have a better idea and you've gotten a little farther on your code, then the idea, yes, you can look at the code. I mean, you can do that, but that's not the goal. That's not the intent at first. It's the intent after you've gone through a process. And you could meet with me more than once. I know, right? I mean, I attempt to make myself available through whatever means you need. But if you don't make yourself available for that, I don't know how to help. But I get it. I totally get that. It's just like, you are not my only class. I'm not living under that illusion at all, right? But this is also an advanced class towards the end of the web developer degree, or for some folks, just something they want to learn. So anyway, here's what I'm going to take a look at. You can look at week 3 Learn Together. I recorded it yesterday. It is available. And then I will start thinking about week 4. And as I was thinking about that today, I started just reminding myself where we're at. And so we've built our first, after you finish section 4, our first kind of mini, and I call it a mini app because it's not a full-blown app. And I talk about that in the Learn Together. And then you learn this idea of debugging, which is such an invaluable skill that I can't tell you. It's never too early to learn about it. And then Will actually have, I believe, these two sections, which is the idea of learning how to make asynchronous API calls, and then creating the web server using this idea. Let's go look real quick. I want to go look at something. So your first develop it is going to be here. And I believe where we will end up in content is section 7, which is the server, right? So what I will have to do now is start thinking about what that deliverable will be, okay? And so you can already start thinking about it. It'll probably be this. It'll probably be more targeted to these sections of writing command line apps that take user data, store that in in a JSON file, be able to retrieve that data. So a basic CRUD app, and I talked about CRUD and Learn Together week 3. And then also probably what I would do then is, since we're ending here, right, is also include maybe in that challenge of doing this, maybe some kind of API call that may or may not be related to what you're doing. Just FYI, this idea of creating some kind of CRUD is ultimately what you will carry through once we start in actually learning Mongo and then writing the API. So you now have the idea, after having done your first develop it, to what you would want to create. And now you switch your focus once you learn what APIs are and how to call them, how to deploy them on a web server, and actually how to deploy them on Heroku. You will then write your own API for that concept, right? Because the idea is I want you to hopefully carry this idea through all 3 of the develop it projects for this course, okay? So I just wanted to kind of set that tone and help you understand where we're heading for this, and have you start, because I've already this week started you thinking about the process of what you're going to develop. What kind of CRUD app are you going to create for this class? And I know that I've read, because this week I don't think I asked you to think about that at all in your Learn Together stuff. It was more looking at your JavaScript, where are you at with your knowledge of JavaScript, right? And these tests aren't the best that, I had you look at. Do know, like I said, Code Academy and Free Code Camp and other Udemy courses. If you haven't taken my 93, that's, reviewing Andrew's course for JavaScript Bootcamp is a great way to enhance some of that fundamental JS knowledge, or add to it, because we can all learn more, right? All right, so have a great week as it comes up. Reach out to me as you want to have a discussion about any of this stuff. Remember, Monday and Wednesday, I am at the Hive. Monday is only an office hour from 4:30 to 5:20. If you want to schedule something a little before or a little after, let me know. I just have to arrange my own schedule. On Wednesday, it's that same time, but then after that is my my React class down at the Hive. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, I'm on Fresno City College campus from 1 to 1:50. I mostly work at home. Honestly, it's just easier. So, but that's where, if you want to meet with me, give me a little bit of heads up. If it's face-to-face you want to meet with me, we could do that. If it's online, that is obviously much easier, but I am open to whatever works for you. And I know I talked about this last week, so it's a little bit of a duplicate. Hey, one of the things I'm going to include in the reply is a video I found about the best 5 projects to do to help you get a job. I've been listening to this new YouTuber, and I really like his content. I'm using a little bit of his content from my React class. But I watched a video 5 o'clock this morning about 5 projects, and I want you to review it and ask me if you want any questions about that, or what you're feeling about that, or what is your reply or question about any of the stuff that I've covered. There is, by the way, a women in STEM group starting to meet at Fresno City. I'll give you that detail if you're interested. Let me know. I really am going to go this time. Have a great one.